Hey guys, this is Kmon909, and today I'm going to be talking about the unused graphics from Super Mario Bros. 3. Now let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the sliding hammer Mario. Now, normally in the game, you would not be able to slide with the hammer Mario power-up because it was removed by Nintendo. Now, if you go to level 6-10 inside the NES game, there is a bonus room that presents you with a slope and a hammer power-up. If you slide into the hammer power-up while on the slope, then you will be presented with the cut graphic of Mario using the hammer power-up while sliding, even though it was removed, which it was implemented to basically not allow Mario to stop sliding, which activates the code for Mario in the power-up sliding. Now, the next cut graphic was implemented because it looked pretty weird. And the next graphic is Frog Mario, but he's looking directly at the player. Now, this was removed probably by Nintendo because they don't think that it looked exactly correct. But other than that, we don't really know why. Now, the next graphic that was found was a tile that was a coin-like image with a P shape inside of it. And the sprite was found inside the King's Chamber and Toadstool Letters graphics bank. The P coin was also found in the files like the rest of the graphics, but only appearing in the original NES game, but does not appear in the files when you go on the Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo remakes. If you played the game in the past, you probably remember the toads that are present in the castles before you go onto the airship. Well, a background version of the toad was also found in the files, but it was also found inside the King's Chamber and Toadstool Letters graphics bank. Not only that, but also like the P coin, it is not present in the Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance remakes. An unused brick tile was found inside the pre-release shots, and the tile looks somewhat reminiscent of the tiles that appear in Super Mario Bros. 2. The tile can be found in the King's Chamber graphics, but never appears in-game. Next, we have the map section. Let's jump right into it. First off, we have two sprites of Mario walking up and left. It seems that the original map Mario would have looked like one of the Super Mario World. This is supported by the lack of corresponding animations for the power-up Mario graphics. Strangely, the sprites got updated for both Super Mario Bros. All-Stars and Super Mario Advance 4, adding white gloves to Mario, but they still go unused. While of these two frames are displayed when you go to choose continue after a game over. The two are definitely not. The next map graphic that is left unused is a question block looking graphic. It was found with the rest of the map graphics in the map graphic bank. A castle-like structure was also found, and like everything else, it was never used. Wow, what a surprise. It's only like this whole video is talking about unused graphics. Next, a skull was found inside the map graphics bank. Now, it was right next to the Hammer Bros and vehicle sprites for when you click on them to battle a person right before you click on another area. Now, it might have been intended for the same purpose, but like everything else, we'll never know. So next section, we have the planes. So let's jump right into it. The section is fairly small, so we're going to look at it, and we're just going to move on to the next. So first of all, we have the bush, and some odd diagonal lines right next to it. They were found in the planes tile set, but never appear in the vanilla game. And lastly for this section, we have a bush. Now yes, you might be thinking, a bush? What's so different about it? They actually look pretty similar to the actual bush, but the bush has some extra bushes behind it. Now, they would have connected in a line, but they were never used in the game. And so far, that concludes the plains section. Like I said, it's fairly small, so let's move on to the next section, which is also very small. So we're going to move on to the grasslands. So let's jump into it. The first are the unused border tiles for the darker sections of the grassland levels. Next are some more tiles that should have been used but aren't. In the game, these darker sections have no borders. They just strangely end. Strangely, these tiles weren't even used for the All-Stars version. Next, we have the higher plains section. First, we have one of the most similar cut sprites, a little cloud platform used in World 5. The only difference is that the beta has less shading than the finished version. And lastly for this section, we have miniature versions of platforms found in the athletic levels. And this next section, the desert. The desert tile set has the most unused sprites out of every section I've talked about so far. So let's jump into it. The first found are actually labeled within the tile banks for the game. So first off, we have a purple pipe connector. This is a breakable tile and will generate the broken pipe tile on the right. It isn't finished completely, as it has no related bouncing block sprite. All these blocks were seen in the pre-release screenshot and were replaced with a standard brick blocks in the final version of the game. Another thing found is a bright blue floating platform. Now right after that, we have also found a background object that looks similar to a pillar or a pole. Now, the height increases with the title ID. So the next thing we have found is a sandstone block. And just like the last one, a number of blocks varies with the title ID. Now the background chains that change length by ID were found inside the game. Now, when I say background chains, that's because they look like chains and they were a background tile. Now, whether the chain is on the left or the right of the 8x8 block depends on the tile ID. These next tiles are unlike the ones shown before. They are not defined anywhere in the game. They show what appears to be a ladder and two different wall types, a shiny like crystal object and a tile intended to connect with the bottom pipe connectors. At the last block alongside the unused breakable pipe block that can be seen in an early screenshot of the game. The ice area, or what appears to be plant life, is found in the ice level tile set and is used at the end of the unused level 7. This actually spawned by the same generator used to generate runs of bushes in the higher plains tile set, which has a branch to generate a snow block underneath the grass when used in an ice tile set. Interestingly, because the generator only spawns the middle snow block, snow underneath this grass won't give the slippery ice physics. The next section we have in this video is the sky. First are some unused cloud corner tiles left in the tile set, unused, along with tiles that were also used for stacking cloud platforms, seen in unused level 15. Lastly, the tiles for a sky gradient, a special background feature. A pre-release screenshot reveals that this was intended for sky levels but was never used in the actual game. Next section, we have the castle. Possibly the top door in Bowser's room is this tile, which normally has a platform there. It was left unused next a brick block donut. It does not look much different from the ones that compose the moving platforms. Curiously, the sprite was remastered for the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars, but was only ever used in Super Mario Bros. Advance 4 and Super Mario Bros. 3 15 years later. The next thing we have is World 8. Yes, the World 8 from the game. So, first off, we have a couple things. We have spikes, a wheel, and a propeller that were likely meant to be used in the tank and airship levels. And next section we have is 2-player. The 2-player levels only has about one thing, and that is a block that appears to be an unused 2-player level. So that is all we have for the 2-player. And lastly, the last section I have for today, guys, the ending. A Goomba with closed eyes was supposed to appear somewhere in the ending, but the sprite was missing in both the SNES and GBA remakes and never appeared inside the NES game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great day. I have one last thing to say before you click off this video. Thank you to the cutting room floor for giving me all this information that I needed on this topic about the cut things from Super Mario Bros. 3. I would say go and check them out. They got some really cool stuff on their website. And that's it for today's video. Have a good rest of your day.